Is it possible that the thing that most divides our loyalties and passions is what can inspire us all to work together? For centuries, sports has played a major role in defining the civic identity of America. Today, they hold the power and the ability to transform lives.
We're not looking for big league players, we're looking for big league people.
Ask the city of Los Angeles, who invested their profits from the 1984 Olympic Games in youth sports programs in the inner cities. Two sisters from Compton picked up a tennis racket. The rest is history. Sports allow an inspirational moment.
Oh wow, what a moment.
To ignite a battle to find a cure.
We have raised a little over $3 million.
They provide life lessons and hope, and the benefits of working together for the greater good. Most of all, sports are one of the few remaining methods we have to reach at-risk youth for positive social change. That is the power of sports.
Welcome once again to Power of Sports, presented by Group 1001. I'm your host, Rick Horrow. For the fourth time in our show's history, we're deep in the heart of Texas. But for the first time ever, we're at the state capitol. We're keeping it weird right here in Austin. Despite lack of professional teams, sports is just as big, if not bigger, here than it is in the other places we visited in Texas. The running community is one of the biggest in the country. Extreme sports are extremely popular, and of course football is always bigger anywhere you go in Texas. We'll cover all that and more this month. You'll hear about how an Austin organization is using running as the starting point and motivational tool for helping people out of homelessness. We'll talk to a senior administrator with Texas Longhorn Athletics who's playing a leadership role in promoting inclusivity across the world of sports. And we'll profile a mentorship-centered outdoor adventure program that not only guides youth in low-income communities where they're young, but into their adult lives. But this is Texas, and the world here revolves around football, and that's exactly where we'll start with our Austin City Pulse. The Hill Country Pop Warner League, located in West Austin, piloted a youth football program called Rookie Tackle. The modified version of football is aimed at developing an age-appropriate version of the game to help develop proper fundamentals at an early age.
Our first year of existence, we had 0 Tiny Mike teams. Those are our 5 to 7-year-old tackle football. That age is the future of football. If you get those kids in early and they learn to love the game of football and they have a great experience, they'll stick with it. So I went to the National Pop Warner office, and the national office came back and said, would you consider this? And they handed us a proposal from USA Football with their Rookie Tackle program. We took it and ran with it, and last year we had 7 teams, up from 0 teams.
So Quattro, tell me from your perspective, the feedback you've gotten from the kids, was it successful?
It was. When you take a smaller field and a smaller number of players and simplify it a little bit and give them the building blocks they need to learn the fundamentals of the game, they fall in love with the game, their parents fall in love with the game. Those kids are all coming back and they're bringing their friends and they're excited about football.
So something else that's pretty unique is that the kids rotate positions.
The idea is you want every kid to experience every position. We don't want a kid pigeonholed into a certain position when they're 5, 6, 7 years old. You don't know what the future holds for them. And so as a result, what we're doing is we're cycling kids into each position on the offensive and defensive sides of the ball every game. They're practicing all over the field, they're playing all over the field. Their parents love it. You know, little Johnny gets to carry the ball sometimes, little Johnny's blocking sometimes. They all love the game more when they get that variety of experience.
And because of that, the kids are having a fantastic experience. We got pulled off the field multiple times last year from officials, third party, neutral party, saying, I've been doing this for 20 years and I've never seen the kids have as much fun as they are right now on the field.
Explore Austin is a youth development agency. We're a long-term mentoring program that uses outdoor adventure to teach kids life skills, to build grit, to build self-efficacy and social capital things that will kind of help them the rest of their lives. The kids in our program, they have to come from a low-income household, so their family has to qualify for free or reduced lunch, and they also have to live in areas of concentrated poverty. We start with the kids at the end of their 6th grade year. We stay with them all the way through 12th grade. We pair them up with adult volunteers that we call mentors, and each Saturday during the school year they meet and go on some kind of outdoor adventure trip, so either rock climbing, mountain biking, canoeing, hiking, something along those lines. And then each summer, each of the teams go on a week-long summer trip. When you're out there with a group of friends and you have to figure out how to pitch a tent in the rain, or like travel through the backcountry, you know, using a map and compass, or cook dinner in the middle of a rainstorm. The outdoors is just a great teacher of so many of the skills that then transfer into other parts of their lives. One of my favorite stories, we had maybe like 5 miles to hike or something. We're hiking up this final pass and I catch up to this kid going super slow, and I realize that he's crying, and I'm thinking like, that's it, like Explore Austin's never gonna hire me again. Like I've made this kid's trip so terrible that he's literally crying. And so I kind of, you know, walk up to him and say like, hey, are you okay? And he's like, oh yeah, you know, I'm fine, I'm fine. He's wiping the tears away, I'm fine. And he says, well, I never in my life thought that I would see anything like this. Only ever thought I'd see views like this in pictures. And it was just really like heartwarming to have this 7th grader tell me that they'd never thought they'd see a view like this except for in pictures.
Amazing stat about Explore Austin. More than 1,300 hours of mentorship for each explorer in their 6 years with the program. An incredible involvement of mentors all over Austin. When we come back, we'll sit down with Longhorn Executive Senior Associate AD Drew Martin and talk about his work promoting inclusion within the world of college sports.
On behalf of Group 1001, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Power of Sports. We are proud to travel across the country each month to tell the stories of how teams, athletes, and organizations are using sports as a catalyst for change in their communities. At Group 1001, our mission is to make insurance more useful and accessible to everyone. Our mission through Power of Sports is to inspire people across the country to see sports as a solution for positive change. To learn more, visit us at group1001.com.
So Drew Martin, first of all, we looked at your title. Do you have all those words on your business card? Do you get paid by the word on the title?
I wish. I'm sad to tell you that I don't even have business cards yet. I hit the ground running and haven't even placed the order.
Well, you can't, because I'm not sure the budget will allow you to print that business card with that many words on it. But to be serious about it, you have had a very diverse career in college athletics between Texas A&M and TCU, and you started with the Big 12 office. You've been in 20 years, and now you've been here 6 months. And your reputation has been to provide some enhanced game day experiences for fans. What are some of the novel things you've done since you got here?
You know, I think the two biggest that have gained so much of the exposure are Bevo Boulevard, where we closed down San Jack, the street that runs just to the west of the stadium, and turned that into more of a carnival atmosphere. You know, with food trucks and sponsor activations and inflatables for kids, and really the concept with that and Longhorn City Limits, which is a concert series that happens before football games, the concept was giving people a reason to come to campus. Out of the gates, it was amazing to see how many people really showed up for that first game against Tulsa and packed that boulevard. By the time that the team got here 2 hours prior to kickoff, it was so full it was almost a single file line for the guys to walk down the street to get into the stadium. And what a great way to welcome the team in.
You're one of the first openly gay men in an upper administration post in college athletics. What's it been like to go through that evolution in an industry that traditionally has been slow to embrace that?
That's something that it took me a long time to get to. I struggled through that in my 20s to come to terms even with myself as that crossroads between, you know, knowing that I was a gay man, but also knowing that I work in an industry where I didn't see any gay men. Yeah. And so could those two things coexist? And finally reached a point where, you know, I had convinced myself early on that those couldn't exist, so I just stayed in the closet and kept that very hidden, to a point where that was doing so much internal, you know, psyche damage to me as who I am as an individual, that I had to make the choice to come out and risk being told, there's the door, you know, we don't have room for you here. And fortunately, and to my pleasant surprise, I was fully embraced and have been embraced at Texas A&M, have been embraced at TCU, have been embraced at the University of Texas. And really it has become a non-issue for me, for my husband. I got married 3 years ago. I'm watching sport change and embrace, and if you look at the history, sport has been that great social equalizer. You know, whether we talk about, you know, race relations or whether we talk about, you know, gender equality, and certainly now LGBT and what we do with the transgender community now has become a hot topic item as well. But I'm thrilled to watch it progress, and I'm proud to have been on the forefront of that change.
Maybe it's also a commentary on the power of sports to be able to allow you to act as an inspiration, not just of what you've done, but how you've positioned it and how you've characterized it from your perspective. Talk about that for a minute.
So for me, you know, sport, we preach, you know, this mentality of, you know, one team, one heartbeat. It's this locker room. It's us against the world. It's a family. It's this, and so it creates this oneness. And while that's a really, really positive thing, one of the negative aspects of it is if you are different than. If you are in a locker room full of oneness, but you are an anomaly in that oneness, it can create some friction there. But a lot of the student athletes that I've had the pleasure of knowing and working with over the last almost decade, they have come to find that that is true regardless of their identity, that they are still in that family, that they are still part of that one heartbeat. It just might be that they're a little bit different than everybody else in the room, and that's perfectly okay.
Have you thought about what the NCAA and what the institution, but also what college sports can do in the future?
Absolutely. And I serve on the leadership committee of the NCAA Common Ground program, and that specifically is aimed at the intersectionality between LGBT people and people of faith at college institutions to be able to facilitate dialogue and provide protection and inclusion and welcoming of people of deep religious faith and LGBT people within the athletics programs. And what does that look like? At the very base layer, we provide the constructs for conversation on these campuses, so they're using the correct language, they're understanding each other from each vantage point, and creating that common ground to have those conversations. Be able to have that type of dialogue and that type of dialect that provides that inclusive environment. And I think in 10 years, my hope is that it's a non-issue, that it doesn't really matter. Gay, straight, transgender, black, white, it's all sport, it's all athlete. It's all about the competition and not at all about the differences. In fact, I hope that we embrace the differences. I think you elevate to a completely different level when you free yourself from those constraints. 5
years from now, you're an AD, where is it?
Where will they have me? Who calls first?
At your investiture as the AD, we get your first interview. Deal?
Deal.
Thank you.
How about that?
Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
There are 5.5 million jobs open in America. It's time to get to work. Express Employment Professionals is ready to help you find a job. Open a door to your next opportunity with Express. It's time for work, America. Apply at expresspros.com.
Group 1001 IndyCar Series driver Zach Veach was among the more than 300,000 attendees at this year's United States Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas, southeast of Austin. The just under 3.5-mile track has played host to the only Formula One race held in the United States, and it's done it since 2012. 3.5 miles is also around the distance that the Austin chapter of Back on My Feet members meet 3 times a week to run. Most participants advance well beyond that number in running, but most life advancement takes place well outside those runs.
I struggled from probably 13 on up, doing all the things I shouldn't be doing, getting in trouble, started getting locked up, abusing drugs and alcohol.
I came to Austin for the music scene. I'm a singer-songwriter, and also very, very broke, living in my car.
You know, I had opportunities throughout my life, you know, to do the right thing, but I was choosing to do the things that I wanted to do, which is get me in trouble. I eventually went to prison, in and out.
Crazy stuff happened. My car had a boot on it, and I'm looking at my car with the boot, and I'm thinking, okay, that's my house. So that was a low point.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Back on my feet. When I needed them, they came through.
Back on my feet!
Back on My Feet is a national nonprofit organization that operates in 12 cities nationwide, and it uses running as a means to combat homelessness. The running is really the first part of the program. Our members are individuals who are experiencing homelessness that we recruit from over 60 facilities across the US. They come out and they run with us. They commit to running 3 times a week at 5:45 a.m. in the morning with staff members and volunteers from the community.
If you can get 5:30 in the morning and run, you get 5:30 and go to work.
It's really a challenge to get up because there's times that I didn't want to get up, and there's times that, you know, I wanted that extra hour of sleep.
So it was a push to get up that early, but I really started to enjoy it. Having a group of people, you know, the Back on My Feet group to do it with, it gives me that extra push and that extra motivation because I'm not doing it by myself.
If they commit to that at 90% attendance, they get to move to what we call our Next Steps phase of the program.
Next Steps is really pretty unique to Back on My Feet. We do a very customized case management process. Then we really start to understand what your needs are.
And that's really a comprehensive set of training, education programs, as well as employment partnership referrals and access to financial aid to support with housing.
It gave me something to look forward to, just being around positive people. We high-five each other, we circle up, we say the Serenity Prayer. It turned into something that I really looked forward to doing.
These guys here Back on My Feet has saved my life. You know, let me know that, you know, as long as I'm trying to make the effort to do the right thing, they're there for me. I feel like Rocky, man. When I'm coming across the line, I throw my hands up, man. I'm like, yeah.
Not only is it a fun, innovative program, but it really works. So over 4,000 of our members have found employment and housing with our support. And what's more, 90% of those have maintained that employment and housing.
My goal is to be a successful singer, songwriter, making a living doing what I love to do. Thanks to Back on My Feet, they were a part of getting me back to a place where I'm now. I'm not homeless, I got a place to stay, and I can back to focusing on my passion and what I love to do.
An amazing impact thanks to thousands of volunteers across the country. When we come back, the perspective of a district attorney in Oklahoma City who is a first-hand witness to how Fields and Futures is changing the entire city for the better.
This is not about baseball. It's dedication. It's commitment. It's about developing a mindset in our youth. A mindset that transforms into true character. Disadvantaged, distressed, new fields envisioned as new opportunities. Instructors teaching life. Lessons learned. This is not about baseball.
What if everyone had access to a pitch, a ball, and a game to play? What if all of us could be part of a team?
What if every child had a coach and a mentor?
What if putting this on meant a sense of belonging and a source of inspiration?
What if we got the chance to fulfill our dreams?
What if we all had a safe place to play right in our neighborhood? Soccer, it's everyone's game.
That's why the U.S. Soccer Foundation is building 1,000 pitches
With soccer programs for 1 million kids.
by 2026.
But we can't do it alone. So, are you in?
Can't talk about sports in Texas without mentioning high school football. Nothing brings communities across the state together like Friday night football under the lights. In cities across America, there are law enforcement officials who witness firsthand the effect sports can have on a student's life. In this month's Fields and Future story, we hear from Oklahoma County District Attorney David Prater, who has seen more lives transformed on sports fields than almost any other place in society.
The story really is about 3 young men who were raised basically the same way in a very challenged neighborhood. And there wasn't a whole lot of supervision. And one of the 3 went off and robbed a convenience store that morning. These 3 young men, if you look at them on paper, they look exactly alike. The difference was that one went and committed a robbery and a murder. As I spoke to one of the young men, I said, listen, you grew up the same way as your friend. I know that there was a lot of pressure for you to go and be involved in that robbery that day and ultimately that murder. What was it that kept you from going? Why did you not go with your friend? Tears started to well up in his eyes, and he kind of ducked his head. And he said, I couldn't disappoint my teachers and coaches. My coach would kill me. And it shocked me that I'd heard that from him, because he didn't talk about a parent, he didn't talk about a pastor, he talked about his relationship with his teachers and a coach. You intervene at one point in time, and these coaches pour themselves into these children. That may be the one opportunity, the one ripe moment to shift the trajectory of that child's life. That's what Fields and Futures does. That's what these coaches do. I mean, that's just one story. I've seen hundreds.
When we come back on Power of Sports, we'll spotlight some of the most significant sports stories we've spotted on social media during the past month.
Portland Trailblazer Damian Lillard wears many hats. In addition to being an NBA player, he's also a hip-hop artist, a rapper, and earned a degree in sales 3 years ago while still playing in the league. He's also really good at inspiring kids. Using his Respect program, which was originally launched when he was a rookie back in 2012, Lillard encourages youth to show respect for all people. He partnered with 3 Portland area high schools this year, working with teachers and counselors to empower students. The program asks the kids to focus on 3 things: show up, arrive on time each day ready to engage and learn, work hard by doing your best, show respect for yourself and your future, and be kind, showing respect and value the differences in others. Last season, Damian kicked off the campaign with all school assemblies and then made a couple surprise visits later in the year to check in on the progress of the program. That's it for your social spotlight this month. Let's give it back to Rick in Austin.
Well, that's it for Power of Sports this month. I'm Rick Horrow. We'll see you next time on Power of Sports, presented by Group 1001.